Hey again. I know I've made a lot of videos about like religion and cults really lately. This will be the last one, I swear. But I've been thinking about making a video like this for a while, and I kind of just wanted to get it out of my head. So, um, just this once, then we'll stop. I don't think my local church was really a cult, but also there's a lot of weird things I'm starting to remember about them. And as I do research about what the Bible actually teaches, um, hell, I just think it's interesting. So we're just going to talk about it. For the record, I'm not really doing any research for this video, purely recollection. So a lot of the things I'm going to go over have probably and have definitely changed since I was there. And I'm not trying to pick fights with anyone who's still a member of this church or anything like that. I'm not trying to make them a target of harassment or anything. So if you're watching this and you know them or are a part of it, I'm not trying to do anything bad here. I'm just making a video. The first thing I want to talk about is that, from what I remember, this church was very outdoorsy and nature-centric, more so than I understand other churches to be. I believe I've mentioned summer camps before. These summer camps were hosted by this church, and it was a very integral part of this church's teachings. Nature itself was kind of given this religious quality, this kind of idea that you could go out into nature, maybe speak with God or be healed, or just, it was generally very beneficial for you, which, in a small way I agree with. Vitamin D, sunlight, that's good for you. But this also manifested too in not necessarily a hatred, but definitely a distaste for technology. I remember the time I got a phone was probably past the age everyone I knew had one. I was well into high school at that time, and my mother had only let me get one so that I could communicate with her while I was at school. The internet also was something I was really frowned upon when I used it. The common idea there was that the internet was this information overload, and not only that, but just a temptation for all sorts of things I really didn't need to be getting into, which is partly true. To be honest, I could probably make a whole video about how unmonitored internet access has really changed the way a lot of people go about their lives. But with nature too, I remember there was also a lot of emphasis on maybe the cycle of life. I believe this partly to be an extension of altruism. It wasn't necessarily to remind you that life is ultimately purposeless, or that people are very small and unimportant. I think it was actually quite the opposite. It was more so that our lives, while limited, could contribute to some kind of greater good, in service of God or whatever. I want to say there was also some kind of reincarnation element to what I was taught, but I'll have to think on that. But I'm not too sure. Another odd thing I remember, I think this just kind of comes naturally, though, with the Book of Revelation and any kind of branch of Christianity that works off that. If you've missed an earlier video of mine, you might not know that the Book of Revelation in the Bible is kind of crazy, and it talks about the end of the world a lot, and the coming of Jesus, and things that would happen to kind of be a sign of that. I believe one of those signs or symbols or whatever was about the one true king. Pretty sure that was sometimes used to refer to Jesus, but I think there was also the implication that that could also be like a human being, like someone who's going to be born or is already born or something like that. But I believe the idea of that was all the events that had led up to Jesus's death when he was on the earth would kind of like repeat themselves in some kind of way, and this person would kind of take on the pain of other people, and through that person, who people of this church would find some kind of salvation. I'm not sure where in Revelation that's mentioned, but repeating history, I know there's something about that there, so it's kind of hard for me to read through the Bible in general, but I'm sure it's somewhere. But anyways, another interesting thing about my church that I remember is that there were some interesting outfits. I only remember it vaguely when I was a kid going there, but I mainly say this because I was actually recording a video when I found this out the most intimately. It's a little embarrassing, I'll be honest. I was recording a video, right, and I was so focused on it, I didn't even realize that one of these guys was like standing there staring at me. And I freaked out and started running away screaming, and luckily one of the guys that was with him caught up to me and explained that they were just doing some kind of ceremony and there actually wasn't any threat to my life. But it freaked me the fuck out in the moment. And just this costume, man, it's like layers of fabric and red, and this, I couldn't even see his face. It's fucking freaky. It's scary when you're not expecting it, but my embarrassment for getting that way aside, learned my lesson. I will not be recording in the park anymore. But also in that vein, I believe I said this in a video before, I kind of suspected that there was some kind of activity from my church in the park, and that was definitely confirmed that day. They're not doing pagan rituals or anything, but there is some kind of ceremony. When I recorded that, there could have been some kind of summer camp event going on, or just something outside, because they were always doing stuff outside from what I remember. These people, like with the outdoorsy thing, they are really into nature. I'm pretty sure a big part of that comes from a lot of the people in the church being hunters, like for big game. And when I say the park, you gotta consider it's not like slides and swing sets and stuff. It's like this huge untamed stretch of forest, so there's a lot of deer, seeing them even on the main road. And being in Hickville, Georgia, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they're hunting in that park for the deer and stuff like that, but that's an entirely different conspiracy. I want to emphasize here, I'm not trying to slam anyone, I'm just rehashing my memories, really. This was the only video idea I had for this week, but it'll get more interesting next week. My experience with this church, I think, probably for a whole separate reason, was not that great. I don't want to slam religion for any person. That's certainly not my intention here. As for, is this place a cult? I don't know, I just think it really depends on your definition. And, if they're a net positive for the community, even if not for me, I think, what's it matter? The proper label for it, as long as they're doing good and not really hurting anyone. If this was interesting to anyone, or if you have any similar experiences, I'd love to hear about it. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully with a more interesting video. But till then, bye.